ready?
Yeah,
But Mike,
it's 1 o'clock. Wait on Ernest.
the other one. There you go.
Yes, sir. How you doing today? Right. Ernest, while you're here, are you gonna have anything for us today?
No, I was just gonna be here for the hangar.
Oh, okay. I just wanted, pardon me?
Other than that,
Well, I was just gonna say, we'd let you out of here if you, whatever. All right, we'll call the November 18th Airport Commission to order. Roll call.
Neil Johnson,
Here.
Greg Collier,
Here.
Cameron McCarron,
Here.
Joel Gardner,
Present.
Steve Smith,
I'm here.
Bill Schoonover,
Here.
Micah Thomason.
Approval of September minutes. You have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second. Motion second, we approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Comments from the audience? Daniel? Summit Aviation?
Good afternoon. Good to see you. Just a couple things. Going to go over fuel numbers for last month. Looking at Jet A, we were 38,713, and that's an 8% increase over September. And looking back at October of 2020, we were 38,674. That's only about 1% more than we did last year. So we're right on par with what we did. But then we're looking at avgas and we see quite a big difference. We did 8,024 for avgas last month, and over September, that's a 2% increase over September of 2021, but it's an increase of 25% over October of 2020. So we're seeing a whole lot more small single engine piston, gas, those kind of things coming in, a lot more activity, smaller guys coming in, visiting us, and also base customers getting more active. And I think a lot of that is going to be Fly ARH with their growth as well. The only other thing is I purchased a Christmas tree, a large one for the middle of the terminal for Christmas, got that set up, and we're working on decorating it. So if you have time, we'd love to have you stop by and put a business card on it or just come take a look at it. Any questions for me?
do you have numbers compared to 19 versus 20?
Not 19, but I can email you something if you like.
I'm just curious where we are now to 19.
No, but I can be sure to start adding that in. Going 2 years back. So,
20 is obvious, isn't it?
yeah, last year was an oddball for sure. So I'll be sure to do that.
Thank you.
And as Ernest said, he's gonna be here for the hangar activity. I forgot to mention Cameron and welcome him to the commission. You got anything you wanna say?
Not at this time. I'm here to learn.
Okay. Well, you'll find out we're very informal and everything like that. So welcome.
Thank you.
Laura, you have anything to offer on the operations?
No, I don't really have anything new either. We've just been day to day out there.
I was driving by there the other day and I thought everything looked great.
We're doing our best.
Stable, nothing to gripe about, right?
No, so far so good, and haven't had a vacant hangar, and it's been months now since anybody's left.
Right.
So yeah, and I get calls probably several times a week. People want to be added to the list because they're on every list around, like you guys know. I think I'm at 70 people now, and they want to know how long am I going to be on this list. I have no idea. There's people who've been on that list for 2 years, 3 years.
Hopefully we can get you some to rent.
Hopefully.
Any questions for
me?
Laura? Thank you. Airport activity, Wyman?
The activity's up and our bank accounts stronger. We got about 300,000 in our bank account. So we're gonna pull out about 50,000, at least 50 to match the grants that we've got that are ongoing.
Is that about all we have obligated?
Right.
50 out of 300,000?
And we got another federal grant that we hadn't drawn down yet for about 50,000.
Well, I can tell you, of all the years I've been on this commission, that's the best financial report I've ever seen. As far as if we paid everything, we still got money in the bank. Usually it's not that way. We're in the minus. But anyway, somebody's done a good job. Wyman keeps us on track. I want to thank him big time. Any question from Wyman? Well, we'll move on to this hangar rent increase, and I apologize, I haven't studied it. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
When was our last increase taken? When was the last adjustment?
16.
I'm sorry.
16.
So it's been 5 full years, going on 6 years. Okay. My comment, I think what's proposed, given that we've been 6 years, is very, very reasonable as far as the percentage amount of increase. I think it's extremely reasonable.
I think the cost of everything is probably low.
That's why I don't know that we're leaving any money laying on the table, but I don't see how anybody, that's a tenant could have a problem with this percentage amount or dollar amount of increase over a 6-year span.
Any other comments? I'm gonna ask for a motion just as to accept it as presented. And if we can't do it that way, then we'll take it individually.
I'll make a motion that we accept the fee changes as presented to us this afternoon.
I'll second it.
Motion second. Do I hear any more comments? If not, roll call.
Collier,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Yes.
Gardner, Smith,
Yes.
Schoonover,
Yes.
Thomason, Johnson.
Yes.
It'll take, our lease agreement requires us to give them a 3-month notice, and then it'll take us some time to prepare the letters, so it'll probably be about 4 to 5 months before it go into effect. Now, we haven't changed the gate code in quite some time. We haven't had any problems, but if we're gonna change it, this is the appropriate time to do it. I can put that in the letter that was sent out on the rent increase, telling everybody what the new code is if y'all want to change the gate code.
Have we had any issues with traffic on the field that we're concerned about?
No,
I'm for leaving it.
Does everybody have their own unique gate code, or is it one gate code for everybody?
One code.
And that one code operates both gates, is that correct? The one by the terminal and the one on Powell and the one
for the fuel.
by the fuel farm? Yes.
Is there ever any concern with some of our not so friendly with us former renters that they might pass through that unauthorized?
Hasn't happened.
Because not everybody's got a unique gate code, so you don't know if it's me or somebody else rolling through.
Well, the big problem with having the one code is people give it out to their friends and it can get scattered out. You never know who's gonna get it, but that's why I was asking, have we had any runway incursions or anything? We have in the past, and we have in the past had people get through there and run out on the runway, so we changed it. But I have not heard of anything recently.
You know, that just be, as Wyman was saying, it's a good time to change it. Maybe we change it, just clean up things a little bit. You've got new renters.
Maybe not only change it, but actually update the system to where it's a unique identifier for each renter.
You'd have to change the system
Yep.
Yeah.
to do that. I don't know how large of a, We
That
could-
might take up your excess cash.
and put an app on your iPhone. I mean, I'm sure there's capability of everything, but just how far do we would want to go. But,
Well, could we look at it and see what's out
Sure,
there?
we
what
can check it
costs?
out.
Yeah, just, it would be nice to know who goes in and out.
Laura, would you want to look into that? That's what we want you to find out. Yeah. There's only two places where the code has the input, right? 3?
4. It also owns the bathroom.
Oh. Where's the third gate? Down at the? Oh, that, okay. I'm with you. Okay.
They don't allow new guys to talk.
That's what it is.
So we can do that. We can come up with a different code. And, usually James picks those. That was passed.
What was that?
The codes, if we like to put a new code in it, James usually picks it out
Right.
and picks something that we all know, like the roof tower frequency or elevation. We've done all kinds of stuff. But what procedure do we want to follow today? Just go ahead and agree to change it?
I
Go
mean,
from there?
you're going to change it now. He's right, now's the good time.
Yeah, but I mean, pick the number and everything. Just let Laura and James select one and notify us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not gonna go on immediately. When it goes out in the letter, it will go into the rent changes with it, Wyman.
So we're gonna change it.
That's what seems to be the consensus. We haven't formalized anything.
It'll change. We'll pick a date for it to change after the letters go out. So the letters will give them notice it's changing and tell them what day it's gonna change.
In the letter.
Are the letters going out in December?
I've got 2 staff members that haven't ever done it before, so they'll go out as soon as we figure out how to do it.
I was just thinking if they go out in December, maybe make it January 1st,
Change it.
change the code. And you got 3 months ahead to give them notice on their rent.
But back to Joel's suggestion, that'd be something we're looking at down in the future, but not, should be checking on it. And we'll see if we can afford it next year, change it, all of it, to individual. Pardon me? It's been that long? Okay. We'll come up with a new one then, for the letter in December and, go from there. Do we need a motion on that? We're fine with just a consensus on it? You're the facilities director anyway, so, we're gonna live with what you come up with.
But do check on that, those new kind of locks and stuff.
like that storage units, they have those storage buildings.
Yeah. Everybody has their own private, and then you have a count of how,
Yeah, but they let you pick your own.
yeah, or how frequently somebody goes in and out, it's a good record keeping deal.
So then you would think you would want one that kept records of who was going in and out?
I would think if we're gonna do that, yes, we wanna know who's coming and going. As I agree, like on the storage units, you can punch your, unique code in on a 4-digit code or whatever it is. And the people that own the storage units know every time that Neil or Joel or Cameron or Steve, whoever
Well, if you
comes
had-
in and out.
If you had an issue
Put a
somewhere
camera
between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
you can go in and say, okay, who came in and who came out? You can narrow it down quite a bit.
Well, and Wyman just made a comment too on, maybe if nothing else, just our two main entrances and egresses. How much would a camera cost that would record a clear driver's, or I mean, a plate? You know, what would that cost compared to the updated keypad?
Well, we have other cameras up there. Could it be incorporated in that?
We've got one,
One,
but it was expensive.
that's what I thought. So it'll depend on how much we want to spend, I would imagine.
Well, I can tell you this right now, expensive cameras get really cheap once vandalism starts.
Sure is, but those cheap cameras are
No,
worthless.
my point being, the expense of a camera is nothing once you start having somebody vandalize.
Sure, and we buy a cheap camera, they're worthless.
Yep.
Because usually night is when you're trying to get something, you don't get anything.
Well, would this be a good time with a little money, you know, that we have aside to maybe review overall our terminal security and the access would now be a good time to do that in general?
Put it in next year's budget.
What all do we need?
That
Would be the discussion, I think.
We could study it and put it in next year's proposed budget.
Right. That would be good.
It's great, right?
Yes.
On the FAA side, is there any safety and security grants specifically for cameras, fencing, access control, that type of thing? I know on my side there is under the DOT, but I don't know if there is under the FAA side.
Fencing, yes, generally you can lump a gate in with that, like if we have this access to a project we talked about last week, like there might be able to be a gate or a fence installed with that. Cameras, I haven't seen cameras. What was the other?
Secure, it's basically access control and security.
No, and we might be able to look at the previous grants that the state has issued and maybe we'll look at if they've supported that kind of thing. But I think it could be more of a state funded
Okay.
item, other than fencing.
Okay.
I'll make a note to look at that.
Nevertheless, we'll have that on, well, we just got one more meeting this year.
Mhm.
So we'll get that on
Sometime down the road.
to
At
look
least
at
we're
for
looking at
next
it and
year's
talking about
budget,
it.
yeah. Any more comments on security? Greg, you got an update for us on Garver?
Yes, sir.
All right, I have about 4 projects to discuss today. We've got a lot going on, but not very many updates. So I'll make the first few of them quick. The first project is the Taxiway B Extension project. That's the FAA funded project. That was 100% funded by the FAA. Just to give an update, it's planning on starting construction next March. It's about 150 days of construction time, so it'll be over the summer and into the fall for that project. Like I mentioned last time, we're just in the signing contracts phase and then coordinating with the contractor to make sure we get all of the materials submitted and everything in line so that we can get started next March. So that's kind of what we've been working on and what we'll continue to work on over the next few months until March. The next project is the East Hangar, or the one off of Highway 265. The site work in the building for this project won't start until spring, like I previously mentioned. The building will get delivered in April, like we mentioned last time, and we expect a certificate of occupancy on that building to be around June 20th of 2022. So June 20th is when we can expect to have it turned over to you guys to be able to use. The next item was CIP updates. We talked about this last month. What we discussed was what the upcoming projects would be, and we prioritized the access road construction project that I mentioned earlier with Joel, as well as the taxiway A relocation to make sure we get that in compliance with the FAA's regulations there. So we worked with James and Wyman to get this submitted to the FAA last month, and it's submitted, and we're awaiting their approval. We expect to get their approval next January. And we don't foresee any issues with this, but it's just the standard protocol there. Any questions about those 3 items before I move on to the next one? Okay. And the final project is the Powell Street hangar, is what we've been calling it. This is the one off of Powell Street where we dealt with Jeff Mann and the bankruptcy there. Last time we talked about, or we came with a quote from Ulkey Construction on what it would take to finish out that hangar. Their quote was about $650,000 to $700,000. I believe Adam was here to discuss that with you last time. But what we mentioned is that we wanted to look at ways to value engineer to get the cost down to see if we can get more value out of this building or out of this footprint for less money. So since last time, we met with Ulkey at our office. Greg was there as well. Thanks, Greg, for joining us for that meeting. It was a good meeting. Greg and Craig. Greg is the guy with Ulkey. Both came and had great talking points and great feedback for us to be able to things to look forward and to move forward and to look into for the next meeting. But ultimately, what was discussed is what was handed out. I have on the top, you can see a plan view of the hangar. You can see Powell Street off to the left side, and where some of those markups are in red is the location of the proposed hangar. That's where the existing foundation is now. But I want to draw your attention to the bottom where you can see kind of the front view or the elevation view of the building. And so an issue that we ran into with the previous project, or not the previous project, with the previous design is that it was too close to the property line. And whenever it's within 30 feet from the property line, you have to have special fire-rated walls on the exterior wall. And so what that ended up amounting to is about $100,000 of costs in the building just to get a fire-rated wall. And so what we wanted to look at first with Ulkey was like, hey, can we move the building? Can we do anything to mitigate or completely get rid of this fire-rated wall so we can take down that $100,000 cost and knock that right off the project? We can't move the building. The foundation's already there. It would be uneconomical to dig up the foundations and move it. And also, this building can't get any closer to the taxiway there. It's stuck in its location based on wingtip clearances. And so the option that I brought to you guys today is what we're moving forward to. Is we're gonna pull that south wall of the building, so you can see there's a thick red line in the bottom of the exhibit here. We're gonna pull it closer to be further. We're gonna pull it closer to the center of the building so that it's 30 feet from the edge of the property line. What this allows us to do is to not have that fire-rated wall. We can get rid of $100,000 of the total cost of the project, just like that. But we will have the exposed steel and roofing from the remainder of the building. So if you think about it, the framing will still be the same, but we're just going to move one of the sheet metal walls to be 30 feet from the edge of the property line.
Are you gonna put the roof over that part of it?
So that is an option. We talked to the building inspector, Greg. This is the update that I was referring to earlier. We've got approval from the building inspector that it's okay to do that meets all the fire codes. So we can have a roof. So we can have something that's like a lean-to on the side. It's still going to have the slab will still be there. I think we estimated it's going to be about 20 feet wide. So you can park cars, you can lawnmowers or any equipment. His one recommendation or requirement, this is the building inspector, is that you can't put up any sort of netting, tarps, or walls on that side, pretty much further south of that south wall, because that then becomes a fire issue or issues with the fire code there.
But
so,
it is large enough for a garage or a carport type
yes.
situation.
Yep. It can act like a carport.
Yeah.
And you can park cars in it there. And what you'll also see is what this causes with the hangar is it was previously two 60-foot wide doors. because we're shrinking this right-hand side, it'll just be one door. And one thing that Greg mentioned that would be great is that, hey, we can still have this one door and they can use that area off to the side as either a garage or it can still just be an open hangar that they can, push planes or other necessary equipment into that part, and that it would still be valuable real estate for the airport to lease. Are there any thoughts on this proposal here? One thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that we sent this to the building department and the planning department to get approval. We've only gotten approval from the building department so far. Still waiting to hear back from Patsy and the planning department. And hopefully we'll have something for you guys by the next meeting. Otherwise, once we receive approval from Patsy, we're planning on going back to Ulkey, getting an updated cost estimate, and then to come back to you guys in December with a finalized number of, hey, here's what it'll cost to get this much square footage in the hangar. Are there any questions that you guys have or anything that I can explain clearer?
I think a couple of things, maybe discuss half of that now. We're not gonna have to seal coat the floor. So
That is
there's
correct.
Savings.
Yep.
The finish out, we're only doing half of the building instead of, there's quite a bit of savings there.
Right. Yep. And so we're saving more than just that fire rated wall. Just like Greg said, we're saving having to seal coat the floor and for some of the sheet metal and additional items that are just going to be removed from shrinking the square footage there. Thanks, Greg.
Does the loss of a door offset the cost of the additional sheet metal to cover that gaping hole?
We don't wanna cover it.
So where the other 60-foot door was gonna be, we're now covering that, right?
Right.
Right.
So does that balance out the cost of a door versus the cost of additional sheet metal? Is there savings in there?
Generally, doors will be more expensive than just the sheet metal. So there will be savings from only having one door as opposed to two doors. So that'll be probably pretty significant. That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
But remember, the steel is all there.
Yeah.
What do they call it? The wraps or whatever for the posts. There's
Right.
still a lot of material that there's no reason not to use. We've got it.
So what you're doing is getting an idea of what we're gonna ask the contractor to bid on and give us a price, right?
Yes, sir. Right now, we're just trying to find the most economical solution to get a cost from. Yep.
So we're still in the planning stages of it. And,
Yes, sir.
yes. And I know Oki is well involved in it. I've been talking to him
Mm-hmm.
occasionally, about every week, and he's been updating me on what he thinks. He does say there is some damaged panels and stuff that may have to
Right.
replace. How bad is the damage on that?
So what we discussed in the meeting is that we can use all of the red iron or the steel that's out there now. He plans to reuse all of that, but the sheet metal, the roofing, and the siding material, he estimates only about 30% of that they can reuse, is what they said. However, Greg did ask them to come back or to go back out and provide a list of material that's out there and also what they plan on reusing and what they can't use. So pretty much just to get an inventory, because he said that was valuable to the commission. So that is another thing we're going to be asking Ulkey for before the December meeting.
And he indicated that there was some of this building that had wound up at the previous owner residence or,
Right.
and so we're not able to recoup that.
Right. And so we talked to Craig and Ulkey about that as well, and they haven't been able to get in contact with the previous owner.
So he has no use for it. I was wondering, looking at it down the road, if we could offer to buy it from him. You know.
I didn't realize that he had any. I thought we had everything.
No, not according to Oki. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. Yep. And Craig and then Tim, Tim Ulkey, prior to that meeting had also talked about that. But yeah, they haven't been able to get in contact with Jeff. if there's anyone that can get in contact with them, I'm sure they'd be able to work something out.
So do we know what that material is? We have all the posts, right, for the framing,
Have a red on it.
all the red iron, yeah? Uh, Okay.
Yeah, it may not be much. It may just be the bolts. They just mentioned some of the material.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So we'll have more on this next month, you think?
Yes, sir. That's the plan, is to get, if we hear back from the planning department that it's okay to move forward with this plan, then we should have updated costs for the commission next month.
One thing you might mention too.
Yes, sir.
Water.
Right.
There's no water there.
Right, and so included in that $650,000 price from last meeting was the cost to extend a water line underneath Powell and then install a hydrant near the apron. And so that's just to meet fire code. And we looked at a few other options. I know Greg mentioned that there's a hydrant near the other Powell hangar where the airport manager's office is, but it's about 6 one way, half a dozen the other for the length of that water line extension. So
We need to bring it down that taxiway anyway. Is that gonna,
Probably just on the south side of that hangar, straight
Right.
across Powell.
yeah, I know, but are we gonna get enough volume to handle the other hangars is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they said there was plenty there.
any other questions, or does the commission have a budget that you'd like to get this under, or are we just wanting to continue just looking at ways to keep the cost as low as possible? Okay.
I'd like to look at that. I forget what the numbers were on that firewall, but it's ridiculous.
Right.
And,
Well, it's no more. That was over 100,000, but we won't have that.
right, I'm just saying, I'm for going this route rather than
Yeah.
going back to that firewall.
How much do you think we're saving overall?
From saving from just the firewall, or saving from this change right here? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just the whole, just to compilate all of it together.
So with the firewall being about 100,000, saving a door, I could see that being anywhere from 30 to 60,000, depending on what type of door it is. I could see somewhere in the $150,000 to $200,000 we could knock off this price, or the
That
650.
could be done down the road if a person ever wanted to convert it.
Yes, that is correct. This does provide the opportunity to continue to build out towards the south. If let's say you guys leased it to someone, if they wanted to build out to get another hangar door there, they could do that. They would just have to install that firewall. Great point. Another thing that Greg mentioned in the meeting is that this extra space where, not where the lean-to will be, but the extra space in the hangar where we're getting rid of that door, they could convert that to an office or anything like that. They could build it out any way they wanted it.
Or potentially, if we wanted to save more, we could stop right in the middle and not finish out that for an office or whatever it may be, depending on
That's
what our savings would be, and let the tenant finish that out.
Yep. Yeah, we could move that south wall. We keep moving it north further and further until, depending on how much savings that gets us, we'll look at a few options just to see what the most. I agree.
I would think just like it is now would be probably the best to attract potential renters, that just turn an airplane back in there and be fine. And may just be perfect for somebody. It'll accommodate a large King Air like it is, and probably a small jet. So, and maybe 2 or 3 other if the person has multiple aircraft, So I think it's attractive like it is.
All right, so just to summarize, we'll have an updated cost for the commission at the December meeting. And I believe that's it, updated cost. Any other questions? Awesome.
Here.
Thank you.
I do have one quick one, actually.
Yes, sir.
Did Oki tell us if we approve this next month, how quickly can they start on that?
They didn't tell us that.
We gotta find money.
Yeah.
Right, and so the East Hangar, the hangar off 265, I think we have about 45 days of time to construct. I think the only holdup in getting this project done would be any sort of additional materials that they'd have to order. If they have to order more roofing or siding materials, what the delay is, because I know with the Highway 265 hangar, it's 6 months, but that's the whole building package. I don't know if the siding would be a little bit easier to get. I would assume so, but I'd have to go back with Oki. And I can come back with an estimated date for that as well.
And one more thing I just thought of, just so the commission can put numbers in their head. The concrete that's existing, plus all the red iron, did we say $100,000 value roughly?
I don't remember what we said. I think it was probably upwards of that, but at least $100,000. Yes, sir.
So there's a potential big savings.
Right, from just constructing one
from
outright.
starting one from scratch.
Yep.
So where does this fall into the rental, schematic as far as square footage? What would the rental be on this?
$120 by 60, I think is what it'll be. I don't have my calculator with me.
We figured that the other day,
Right.
approximately, do you remember?
I think we assumed a 25 cent per square foot rental rate, which is what Greg confirmed for us. I think we came out with it would be a 10-year return on investment, I think is what we calculated in the meeting. It was using some rough numbers, is the size of it.
Which may be high.
So we wouldn't rent it as the full under roof, just the fully enclosed.
A year. So it looks like the same would be 60 by roughly 100, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's the rentable space, not the 60 by 128.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Sweet.
So, any other discussion with the commission on this particular item? Or we'll go ahead and get more update on it next month,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Any other
Thank you.
questions, Greg?
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just backing up a little bit, we breezed through the hangar rent. Ernest was here today in case we needed help. Ernest, did you see anything you needed to add to our rent increase or anything? Okay, well, thank you. Any old business?
I've got a couple of questions. Laura, have we been able to do something with the carpet on the steps as far as getting those cleaned that we discussed last month?
I'm still working with the guy, he just hasn't had time to fix it yet.
Okay, I'd also like to add, I was out at the terminal here a few days ago, and the rugs underneath our sofas, you know, I don't think anything's been done with them since they were put down. And I would like to suggest that maybe we take a look at getting those cleaned, you know, at the same time if we're gonna do the steps, because they're starting to show some wear.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him for that, we do the steps and those 2 rows and offices upstairs. And then Cameron has an office out in East Hangar.
How do you determine your budget for cleaning the building? Just lumped in? You don't have any specifics then? Okay.
Mr. Chairman. It's my intention to retire from the city of Springdale effective March 31st.
Denied.
So you're leaving us
I'm leaving.
March the
There you go.
31st?
I'm staying in Springdale, but I'm not going, I'm gonna retire.
So we need to get all out of you we can then.
I was trying to get this rate increase done before I left, so they wouldn't have to worry with one for 4 or 5 years.
We're certainly gonna miss you.
Yep, I'll miss it too. It's been a challenge.
I understand.
He
yes.
didn't say it was fun. He says it's been a challenge, so.
Yeah,
I know.
okay.
The city of Springdale never had any debt until I came, and now we've
Uh-oh.
got about 6 or 8 bond issues.
Yeah, so you're taking credit or taking the blame?
Whichever one.
I'm sure there's people who've got opinion on each side of that. I know some of the old airport, some of the old, council members are talking about how they had balanced budgets, had money in the bank, and all that stuff in their day. And it's kind of funny to hear them talk. And I call their attention to Huntsville. It hasn't changed since I was a kid, hardly, so. But we'll go from there. Let that be what it is. Any other old business? Comments from the commissioners?
I've got a comment. I've been approached by some of the members of the 99s, which is the ladies aviation group that's nationwide, but there's a group of active people, you know, here in our area. And they feel like it's time to get the Compass Rose redone. It's been several years out on the taxiway, and they are certainly willing to participate in that. But they've come to me to ask the commission about the city's participation. I believe last time the city and James agreed to use paint from the street department to accomplish that. They would do the labor, et cetera. And I guess, Greg, my question is with the thought of all the potential taxiway, and where the Compass Rose is now, how could all that come into play? If we did that, could the work be in vain as far as it getting messed up with any taxiway rehabilitation?
The taxi will be relocated directly on top of where the Compass Rose is now. So if we could find another location for it, by looking through like where the ultimate alignment of that taxiway would be, that's something we could look into.
But realistically, in the near term, we would just have to put that on hold as far as, you know, any commitment we could make at this point in time. I just want to get back to them, you know.
Right, I mean,
Tell them to hurry up and wait.
The other issue right now is you won't be able to get white paint for, I don't know how long they're out on white paint.
But you know, that's only on for 1/8. I mean, we need it more centrally located where it can be, if you're taxing out to the south, you'd be able to utilize it too.
So would you like some on the apron, is that what you're proposing?
Somewhere, yes, but then if you get on an apron, sometimes you block off an area, so maybe more in the center, intersection or something.
Right, and with that taxiway relocation project, there'll be some reconfiguring of everything there by the apron, some of the tie downs might have to shift a little bit, so we could look at it and get, maybe come with an exhibit at the next meeting for a good location that's gonna be future proof, so that it can be there longer than, 2 to 3 years until that taxiway relocation happens.
That'd be great. There, of course, with winter coming on, it's not anything that they were gonna get out and do in the middle of the winter. It'd be, at best, it'd be a spring project. So, and they fully understand, and I'd already touched with them about the west taxiway, what was in the works there. So, they understand. They're just asking and just putting it on the radar screen.
Right, yep, we can look at it and come back with it.
Great, thanks.
Any other comments? If not, we'll adjourn.
Pleasure, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Lyman, have you got one of those calendars where you mark your days off?
I sent you a freaking email saying you're the only one that I would trust.
I don't know about